Where tributes have been pouring in this morning for those 10 people who were killed. The shooting sparking some new concerns as well about safety in public places. And joining us right now with more about how you can stay safe while doing something you probably consider to be mundane is security expert Dave Benson. Always good to see you, Dave. How are you?
Good morning, Amy.
So what are some key things you need to remember, like when you go to the grocery store or to a movie theater or any place that you would consider to be pretty safe?
Yeah, so first and foremost, these events, while absolutely horrific, are still somewhat rare. So we want to keep that in mind. We want folks to be mindful, not fearful. So what should you do? When you go to these places, think it's a possibility, even though if it's not likely. Ask the what-if questions. How might I respond in a certain situation? Make note of entrance and exit points, so you're prepared should you have to evacuate. If you're faced with a potential threat, quickly try to figure out what's going on. If you can, run away from the threat, get out of that area and stay out if you can do so safely. Hide out or barricade if you can't do that, to keep the threat away from you. If you're in an open area, spread out if you're with others in a room or an open space. And as a last resort only, you might attempt to incapacitate the threat or take that person out. But again, only as a last resort.
Dave, one of the things that we heard from some of the folks who were inside the grocery store is some ran into a bathroom. One man said he tried to hide behind a urinal in a bathroom. Another woman says she was hiding in a closet that she found. If you're out, you mentioned being out in the open, right? If you're in a grocery store, you may not know where any of those places are. What about just laying on the ground and playing dead?
Yeah, we've heard that. We've seen that technique. I frankly don't recommend it, but each situation is different, Amy. You need to keep moving. Make yourself a difficult target. When you're laying on the ground in one spot, we saw this tragically in the Pulse massacre and in other things. It doesn't necessarily work. So keep moving. Try to avoid the threat. If you can't, barricade yourself. Right.
And you brought up the other point, too, which is if you feel like this is the last resort and maybe this is, going to be your last moment, fight like hell, right? And just go after whoever that assailant might be.
That's exactly right. Remember that most of the time the threat comes from the individual's hands. If you can knock that weapon out of their hands, so much the better. Use a fire extinguisher in a grocery store, throw foodstuffs at them, whatever you need to do, and hopefully you can get some help to incapacitate that individual and separate the weapon from them.
Right. I often think of those passengers on Flight 93 who just decided, you know what, we're going down. We're not going to go down without a fight. And that's so sad that we've come to this where we find ourselves in these situations. But Dave Benson, it's always great to have you and give us some good advice. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too.